Hey friends, today I want to talk about something that I get asked a lot. And honestly, it just stinking tickles me that I get asked this question because I don't think this was something that I would ever think to ask anybody else, especially like before I was pregnant, before I had a child, before any of this business. The thought never would have occurred to me to ask this. But honestly, I get asked this question by non-pregnant people all the time. They're like, Courtney, tell me your birth story. And this is the kind of thing where generally the details are disgusting and one does not want to know, right? I mean, like, some people think that's beautiful, but most of us agree that it's also sort of gross, right? But a lot of people have wanted to know. And, I think ordinarily I would be shy about such things, but since becoming a mother, I have lost much of my couth, and there wasn't that much to begin with. So, ta-da! Today I bring you the birthing tale! Hooray! You can navigate away now if you are frightened. Don't be scared. So, anyway, what I want to say first of all is that pregnancy was going fantastic, except for the fact that I was packing on weight in a way that boggled my mind. This was an interesting and very challenging experience for somebody who was formerly an anorexic because I felt like I had entirely lost control over my space station. Like, command was not at the helm, it was like elsewhere. And I felt like every day this was a sacrifice, which would be the first of many sacrifices where I was saying, okay, look, you're getting fat, you need to calm down and realize that this is for your child. Stop making it about you. This is bigger than you, which is something we could totally speak into all sorts of problems in our lives. But, I felt like this was really the first of many sacrifices. And I was working out every day. I was eating so much spinach. Like, I am probably the only pregnant person in the history of all pregnant people who have ever been pregnant who had a craving for spinach. I was like stinking Popeye. I was eating green things like, oh, this is delightful. This is the nectar of the gods. And yet I was gaining weight. I gained, when all was said and done, like 50, 60 pounds. Now, I tell you what, this would be, NBD if I had been at a weight that I was just, punch and happy and popcorn and sunshine with prior to pregnancy. But prior to pregnancy, I was like at a weight and like a particular body size that reflected the fact that I sat in a cubicle for 8 or 9 hours a day, right? I was at the point where, I still look pretty good. I don't think anybody would have kicked me out of bed for eating crackers and whatnot. But if I were going to be like on the cover of a swimsuit magazine, they'd shave about like 5 or 10 little pounds off of some of my little here and there, right? So you pack 50-ish, 60-ish pounds on top of that and things ain't pretty, right? So at the end of this adventure, I developed a condition called preeclampsia, which basically just murked people back in the day. Like, if you were pregnant and you got this, you basically just died. Like, I don't know if you guys watch, what is it called? Why can I not think of the name of the stinking show? What's the name of the show that everybody's really, Downton Abbey? There we go. You like how it was, could you see the wheels turning and churning up in here? Downton Abbey. Homegirl dies of this very condition, preeclampsia, that I had. But as you can see, I did not die. What ended up happening is they had to induce labor, which was something I was totally against. Like, I didn't want to make this whole thing like a lot more medical than it needed to be. I wanted to kind of, just naturally go into labor. And, I didn't have like plans to play Enya and have candles and stuff. But, I just kind of wanted this to be an experience that was like, as natural as I could make it. I mean, I figured I was probably gonna get an epidural because I don't really like pain too much, but, I didn't want to go in and be put on Pitocin and, be all wired up and terrified. But that's exactly what happened. So for 10 hours, I sat up, being induced, like in pain, but like always afraid that, if I took pain medicine or something that it would get worse, and so don't do it now or it could get worse. So I was terrified, right? And then at the end of the 10 hours, the doctor comes in and is like, look, we really aren't having any progress here. So there are two options. I can send you home. You can go home. Or, you know, and we can begin to do this whole stinking thing again tomorrow, you know, and at that point, if it doesn't work tomorrow, I would say you have like a 50% chance of needing to have a C-section anyway. So we're talking like 20 hours of labor was planned, and then still 50% you might need to have a C-section. He's like, or your misery can end now and I'll slice you open. And I'm like, please cut me open and wrench this baby out immediately, ASAP. I'm hungry. I want to go home. I want my baby. So that's what we did. So I'm walking down the hallway and I'm just fat as ever, you know, just waddling down there, and I'm getting right with God, because this was honestly the most terrifying thing in my entire life. Because, like, I mean, I assume all of you guys are familiar. You've probably seen it on TV or something, but C-sections, you are being cut open whilst awake. It's not like they put a little thing over you and, you know, you're there with angels and whatnot. Hallelujah. No, you are wide awake and you are scared. Now, the thing that I want to share about my experience that so differs, though, from what you may have seen on TV, differs certainly from what I have seen on TV, is the issue of drapery. So like when you watch a C-section on television, in movies, always they have the lady, like, you know, draped. She's wearing a little hospital gown, and the only area of flesh that is exposed for one to behold is just that little area that they are about to rip the baby out of. It's not like your entire thing is on display, right? Not so with me. My barbaric team decided that it would be totally cool to let girl who, you know, formerly anorexic, now weighs like 180 pounds, let's just strap her down on the table and just have her just lay right there. And so I'm there thinking I'm about to die, right? And I am butt naked, like with my arms out, strapped down. I am the most terrified and the most embarrassed that I have ever been in my life. Like, I think that my mind actually went to a place where it could not bear the fact that I had so much fat lady flesh splayed out for everybody in the operating arena to see, to the point where I swear, and this is basically real to me, I imagined that I had the most beautiful, like neon and tropical, colorful, glorious beach towel covering all my little lady bits and lady parts. That, nah, I'm not just completely exposed for all the world to see my fat, plump lady flesh. I have a beautiful blanket covering me. Like, literally, I could see it in my mind's eye. And today I can actually remember what this thing looked like. In fact, when my husband came in after they had pulled my little Alexandra out of my abdomen, I was tempted to be like, yo, look at the drapery they put on me. Like, isn't this amazing? I have this wonderful, like, yeah, beach towel. Isn't that cool? Not real. Like, psychologically, I came up with a coping mechanism. Is that crazy or is that crazy? That's crazy, right? So here's the other thing that happened. So it just so happened that all 180 pounds of my big, luscious, pregnant lady flesh is splayed out there, and in walks my anesthesiologist. And this guy is like, he puts McSteamy and McDreamy to shame. This was literally the most handsome individual that I have ever seen up close, I've ever beheld in all my days. I was like, who are you? You are so beautiful. He was amazing looking. And I'm like, of course you see me when I weigh 180 pounds, you know, naked here. Of course, you know, this is my life. Of course now you meet me. Like, not when I was like slim and in college, like, hey, future anesthesiologist. No, now that here we meet. Anyway. So he has a fabulous personality to boot, and he's like joking with me and trying to make me feel more comfortable about this. And he says, so tell me the truth, girl. Tell me about it. So you scheduled this C-section today, right? Because you're planning to put on your bikini and go on a trip out to the islands in a couple of weeks, right? So you didn't want this to mess with that schedule, right? And my mind is churning and clicking, and suddenly it dawns on me that this dude is making big girl jokes at me. This is a big fangirl joke. He's looking at all 180 pounds of my big, beautiful, luscious, pregnant lady flesh, and he thinks, man, that'd be funny if that wasn't a bikini prancing around the islands. And so I swear I've been terrified. I've been basically unable to speak because I'm so frightened, certain I'm about to die. But I tell you what, I paused and I looked at him, and with perfect clarity that to this day I will say this is one of my most proud moments. I said, you know, I didn't always look like this. I see you making fat girl jokes at me. But I tell you what, if you had seen me a couple years and 50 pounds ago in the bar, you, my friend, would have wanted to buy me a mojito. And I swear, I say this, and my obstetrician, who has seen me like before the 50, 60 pounds of, you know, weight piled up on you, girl, he goes, that's true, let's begin. And so that, you know, that happened. Had to keep my beautiful anesthesiologist in check and let him know. Had to let him know. Anyway, so, you know, it seems like no time had gone by. They were wrestling me back and forth on the table. I was rocking around. It was terrifying. But then all of a sudden, you know, they put the most beautiful little red-headed ginger creature on me, and I'm going, suddenly my life has so much more meaning. You're beautiful, and I have just met you. But doggone it, I love you. I love you. I love you in a way I've never loved anything before. I love you. I love you. And so that's how I met Alexandra. That's my birth story. There it is. We got it. You got my birth story. So how are you guys doing? Tell me about what's going on in your life. Do you have an interesting birth story? Do you have something gross that you would like to share with me when you gave birth or when you were given birth to? Hit me with a story. Make my day good. Anyway, love you guys. Bye-bye.